Welcome to Subspace. In this video, I will be guiding you through the process of building a PC with an AIO watercooler and a modular power supply. Feel free to pause at any moment in the video to get a better understanding of it. The parts in this PC are displayed on screen here. There are about 9 steps to building a computer according to this video. Preparing the motherboard, seating the motherboard into the case, seating case cable into the motherboard, fitting the power supply, mounting the AIO watercooler, mounting the back outtake fan, moment of truth, powering on the PC, and mounting the intake fans. Step 1. Preparing the motherboard. Fit the CPU to the motherboard. But first, you must open the CPU socket. Fit the CPU to the CPU socket, with the arrow at the edge of the CPU aligning with the small dots printed onto the motherboard. Close the CPU socket. The plastic cover will pop off when you do this. Release the RAM brackets. Insert in the RAM so that the face of the RAM is pointing in the direction of the USB ports on the motherboard. The notch in the RAM should also satisfy the notch on the motherboard RAM slot. With the back of the RAM going in first, apply light pressure to the RAM until you hear a light click. Important tip: if you are inserting 2 RAM sticks, remember to put them into a dual channel configuration as shown in the picture above. This is to ensure maximum RAM performance. Before screwing in the SSD, remember to screw in the mounting screw for the SSD. Insert in the SSD facing upwards. Screw in the screw to hold the SSD in place. Step 2. Seating the motherboard into the case. Unscrew the back plates of the case. Lift and remove the back plate of the case. Flip the case to the other side where you can access the motherboard mounting area. Begin to screw in the motherboard spacers. This is made easier using the tool highlighted. Put in the spacer into the tool as shown here. For this case in particular, you must insert the motherboard spacers in these exact positions, the letters representing where spacers should be inserted depending on the type of motherboard. Mount the rear I/O shield for the motherboard. Insert in the motherboard. Be cautious while screwing the first screw, checking if the motherboard remains straight while screwing in the motherboard. Screw in screws into all available slots on the motherboard. Step 3. Seating case cables into the motherboard. Plug in your case's audio cable into the AAFP header on the motherboard. Route your case's USB cable to the motherboard and plug in this cable to the USB header. Plug in the last case cables labeled PWR LED and similar cables to the corresponding header usually located at the bottom right corner of the case. Route and plug in the case cables labeled CPU to the EATX 12V headers located at the top of the motherboard. There are usually 2 of these headers. Plug each cable into them. Route the other side of the cable to the bottom of the case for later plugging into the power supply. Plug in the 24-pin main motherboard connector and route it where the power supply will be, which is at the bottom of the case. Step 4. Fitting the power supply. Remove the power supply bracket from your case by removing the screws off the bracket. Some cases do not have this, and in that case, ignore this part. Attach the power supply bracket to your power supply using screws. Bring all loose case cables to the bottom of the case if you haven't done so yet. Insert the power supply into the case. Screw in the power supply into the case. Begin plugging in all of your cables into the power supply. Step 5. Mounting the AIO Watercooler. Attach the rear CPU cooler bracket to the back of the motherboard. Insert screws to the cooler mounting holes beside the CPU to keep the CPU cooler bracket in place. Screw in the fans supplied with the AIO into the AIO radiator. These fans should face the same way as shown here. Screw in the fans on the side with visible screw holes. Mount the AIO radiator to the top of the case with this exact orientation. It is advised to mount this to the top of the case, but some case sizes and RAM heights prevent you from doing so. Connect the AIO fans to their PWM fan to peripheral SATA adapter. Remove the plastic protector off the AIO pump before proceeding. Attach and screw in the AIO pump to the CPU. Route the cable coming out of the AIO pump outside of the case, with the SATA power cable from the pump going towards the power supply. The other cable will be plugged into the AIO pump header on the motherboard. Plug in the cable not routed to the back of the case into the AIO pump header located at the top of the motherboard. Plug in the SATA power cable into the SATA power to 4-pin adapter, which should be supplied with your AIO. Plug in the 4-pin side into one of your peripheral and SATA connectors in your power supply. Step 6. Mounting the back outtake fan. Mount and screw in the back fan in the orientation shown here for the fan to suck air out of the case. Plug in the fan cable into the nearest chaff fan header. In this case, this is chaff fan 2. Step 6. The moment of truth. Powering on the computer. Plug in a keyboard and mouse for control of your computer. Power on your computer. The computer should show a post screen like this that displays all of your computer's specs. Simply press the F1 key to enter the BIOS. Attach the 2 Noctua fans to the case for improved airflow. Plug in these fans into their chaff fan headers. In this case, they are chaff fan 1 and chaff fan 3. Route these fan cables around the back if possible for a cleaner case. Screw in the back panel of your case. You have now successfully built a PC. Please consider liking and subscribing for more content.